Center. Okay, good.
We are live.
Yes.
And I want to give a few minutes for some people to get into the room. Come into the room.
Come on in. Come on in.
Into the room.
Come on in.
I look like a snowman in reverse with the white headphones on. Black earbuds on.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah, guys.
All righty. Well, I will get started. We have a few people that looks like that is joining us tonight.
Awesome.
So great. All righty.
Awesome.
So welcome, ladies, again to Kingdom Kinesis, where we inspire women to shift past their potential into active pursuit of their kingdom assignment.
Yeah.
We are excited to have you joining us tonight, and we would love to see who's in the house. So as you come in, please type in the comments where you guys are from.
Yes.
And we'll continue to do that throughout the session.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for joining us. We do go live on Sundays at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 2 o'clock Central. That will be for me. And then always check back on our page because we will be adding more content and filling the week up, just giving you tons of knowledge and inspiration. And just tune in. Okay, just tune in. And so I'm going to bring the show over to my partner in crime, Katrina.
I like how you said that. Just tune in. Just tune in. Just tune in, guys. We pivoted so quickly, remember? So we want to thank everyone for joining us and just being so loyal and faithful to us for this past month. We are actually hosting our 8th speaker tonight. And we are 1 month in, and we have, 163, 169 followers. So we just want to say thank you so much once again. And as Christina mentioned, we are now live on Sundays and no longer on Wednesdays, but we will have lots of content and we can't wait to share all this stuff with you guys. So
Can't wait to share
it. Thank you so much. So let me be quiet because tonight we have a very, very, very special guest.
Yeah.
This segment is Career Coaching 101, and we are actually just excited to have the dynamic Sheree Sims, career coach and founder of Black Career Women's Network, with us tonight. So Sheree, I'm gonna be quiet and I'm gonna have you tell us about yourself and about the Black Career Women's Network.
Sure. So, of course, my name is Sheree Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network. My background is in human resources, specifically talent acquisition. I'm a director of talent acquisition right now, but I also do work still in my business with Black Career Women's Network. BCWN is a career development organization that supports professional development of African American women. It's a national organization, so we help women from all over the U.S. We have been in business or since inception since 2012. And have been a lot of my expertise and knowledge has been featured in different articles and publications like Black Enterprise, Essence Magazine, New York Times, local here in the Cincinnati area as well. One of the things that's important about the reason why BCWN is important work for me is because of the challenges and the complexities of Black women navigating the workplace. And there's so many layers to that, layers to who we are. And how we, impact our culture. So it's important for us to be able to have tools to equip us with that, because not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Let's be honest about that.
Right.
And so it's important for women who have families, or even just single women, to be able to have the knowledge to learn how to navigate the workplace as Black women. So that's why the work that I do is important, and to continue to do the work. To help support and elevate us in the workplace. A couple of fun facts about me. I hired 326 people in 4 months for one of the largest retail drugstore chains here in the U.S. That was not an easy fit to do within 4 months. I worked 12, 18-hour days to get it done. But that's one of the things I'm most proud of, is being able to accomplish that for one of the major local chains. And another fun fact about me is that I got locked up in Target. I got locked in Target by myself. I was the only person in the store with the lights off, alarm on, and everything.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
I didn't know that.
And I had to set the alarm to get out the store. I had not set the alarm. I had to, I guess, unset the alarm to get out the store and didn't know how to do it. So I had to just open the door and get out. And the alarm started going off and all that. But how I ended up as the only person in Target locked in there at midnight or past midnight was I was working there as a part-time gig. And I was, in my section working, and I started feeling like, this doesn't feel like anybody else in the store. I didn't feel into the movement. So I took my cart, was going back up to the front, and the lights went off on me while I was taking my cart up to the front. So the team that I work with didn't even check this thing, because we're supposed to check and make sure everybody's out to walk out together. They thought I left early.
Oh, okay.
So
where's Sheree? No, she checked out. She clocked out well over 30 minutes ago. I'm
in a Target store with all the lights off, and then every door was locked except for one. And I opened that door. As soon as I opened it up, the alarms went off. So I was on camera. They could see everything. So that's my story of how I got locked into Target.
But you had everything you needed. It was a super Target. Did it have, food?
It was a super Target. But all I could think about was, I am going to jail. So
you're going to jail full.
I'm thinking, okay, she's not an employee, I'm like, okay, I'm going to jail. I need to get out of here. So, but yeah, that's a fun fact about me is I did get locked in the Target after at night by myself.
Well, Sheree, we're so happy you made it out so you could join us tonight. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for telling us about, a little about yourself and the Black Career Women's Network. But, can you explain to people in more detail, what a career coach is and how they benefit job seekers?
A career coach can do a couple of things for you. A career coach can kind of help to give you insight on the job market. They can give you insight into who you are as a professional, which is something I'm big on, which is helping you to understand your professional identity. I'm getting clear on what that is, because whether we choose to believe it or not, we do have a professional identity, and it does impact the choices that we make and how we navigate your life. So they can help you get clear on that. They can help to open your network up to you. They can also give you access or share access and resources, whether the resources are people, organizations, networks, things like that. So they just really can be a mentor. They can be a lot of things. They can be a resource, but they can also be someone who can help you with your growth as well. So they can provide a combination of things if you choose the right one.
That's the key phrase. Choose the right one. That's good. That's good.
It is. So, Sheree, again, so nice of you to join us. So, as you guys know, we're probably all in. We're still all in quarantine because of this COVID-19. Yeah, and it's negatively impacted the workforce. I mean, it is what it is, right? We got layoffs, we have furloughs, but I'm sure there's still some opportunity there for some professional growth and development. So, while we're kind of just laying low, how can we use this time to, engage our professional development skills, professional and personal, I guess, development skills, so that we can, when this is all over and, we get back to the workforce, because it's going to look different, right? How can we use this time to engage those skills?
I think what you can do from a perspective of, if you're furloughed, one thing you can do if you're furloughed is look at what you can do to kind of hone in on some new skills, right? So you can go to LinkedIn. They have courses in LinkedIn. There's a site called Udemy, Udemy. Udemy.
Yes.
That you can go to and sign up for some of their courses. And right now, their courses are dirt cheap. You can get them from like $10 a course for a lot of and start taking some professional taking some courses. Also, you can also go to maybe to your industry association. So whatever industry you're in, you can sign up for their membership and take some of their courses, go to some of their meetings. So since everyone is now doing a lot of virtual things, a lot of these associations, the industry associations are doing virtual webinars, a lot of them. So you can take advantage of, maybe this is now, if you let a certification you have and you let it lapse, maybe this is the time now to go ahead and get it back updated by taking those courses where you get those credits to keep it, to kind of get it back active. So think about what you can obtain, or what you need to make yourself marketable, because this is the best time to do that. If you're someone who is completely laid off, then of course, the first thing you want to do is, of course, update your resume if you haven't already done it. But you want to make sure that clean up your social media profiles. Don't get on your social media profiles complaining about coronavirus and how it got me laid off. Things like that.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Clean it up. Don't get in there talking about, I hate Corona, because we all hate Corona. You don't need to get on your, clean up your social media. Keep it professional. Another thing you can do if you're a job seeker looking, get involved with some of the groups that are on LinkedIn or in your industry. Let people know that you're looking. Put it out there. Hey, I've been furloughed, or I've been laid off. Do you know anyone in our industry who's looking? Reach out to some specific employers. Get a hold of their recruiters, because they may not be hiring right now, but once this kind of dies down and things kind of get back to normal and people start transitioning to go back to work, you're going to have HR teams and recruiters who will now be opening up their job requisitions again and be looking for candidates. So right now is the best time to get the attention of a recruiter or a hiring manager right now, while they're either on a hiring freeze or if things have slowed down, because now they're going to pay more attention to the conversation, because they know once the foot is off the brake, they're going to have to go back and start hiring again. And they'll remember who you are. So this is a great time now to start reaching out to. It may not seem that way because you're thinking, they're not hiring right now, but eventually they will, and then you'll be in front of them.
That's a good point, because I didn't think, I know a lot of times people are thinking, well, ain't nobody hiring, so I'm not going to go do X, Y, Z, not thinking, get in front of their face now. So when they do hire, you've already had the conversation, they already know who you are. And, because when they start hiring, they're going to be like this.
Yeah. And the beauty of the work that I do, I've been doing HR work for over 20 years now. I took a break from HR probably in 2012 to start BCWN, and then was still doing some HR consulting, and then went back into the business. Now I'm doing both. And then the beauty of being in both is I get to stay on the pulse of what both sides are doing, which is nice. So that's why I say that it's important for people to don't think about it where, they're not hiring, so I'm not even going to try to waste my time. No, this is the time. You have nothing but time right now to do it.
You make some really good points, though, Sheree. I mean, you talk about upskilling, you talk about the professional development, use the time wisely, and to be reminded or mindful of the fact that doesn't matter where you work, all of us have a professional identity. And so we need to protect it as much as possible and safeguard it and be mindful of what we're posting and what we're saying, because just because we're not in the office, just because we may have been laid off, furloughed, whatever, doesn't mean employers aren't looking or won't go back and look, because I know for certain there are employers who go and look at social media pages.
Now, I will tell you that I know that people hear this a lot, and I'm talking from an industry perspective. Do recruiters and hiring managers really go and look at your social media? I'm going to say the majority do not. I think it's an elevated myth, if that makes sense, right? Because realistically, in the world of that, they don't have time. They have 100 requisitions open. They have 100 job openings. They're trying to find people to fill these roles. They're sourcing candidates. They're using Google to find talent, but they're not using Google to look at your social media. Now, if you are in a high profile position where it can impact the face of the business, they're probably going to take some time to dig a little deeper into that. But if you're coming into the role of the medical assistant, they're not looking at your social media page.
That is a great point, right? Difference between C-suite. I got it. I get you. I get it. So you really need to think.
Yeah, if you are in a position that has a high level of visibility and a high level of influence in that organization, yes, they're going to look at your social media because they want to see how you can impact, their business, right? So that's different. But a regular recruiter on a regular day looking for, even someone who's the VP, they may or may not look at their page. It depends on the level of influence and the visibility they have within the organization and what that looks like. So I think that's an elevated myth. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that someone that is not at that organization who comes across something on your social media won't go back and share that with someone in the
organization. That's true.
So err on the side of caution.
Yeah, right. I heard that Johnny was coming to work for this company I work for, and I just saw his Facebook page, and it said this, and then they share that. So I mean, and I know that's probably a little petty to say, but when you think about the human nature of people, and especially when it comes to in the workplace, I believe, and I know it's true, and you all do too. People are one way outside of the workplace, and they are a beast when it comes to coming into their jobs. Yep. People can become territorial, and prideful and things of that nature. I don't want to sound negative, but it's the nature of people in the workplace sometimes.
But that's two facts.
Yeah. So you got to be mindful of that. So yeah, the social media aspect, it's an elevated myth.
Okay. But err on the side of caution.
Right.
Okay. Got you.
Don't be talking, I hate coronavirus, and then because it laid me off. Stop. Don't do that.
Just don't go there. Don't call one of your friends or text somebody, but don't put it on. So got it. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Okay, that's hilarious. So, we were talking about, what we can do now in the interim, since we don't really have a lot of, all we have is time, and they hone in on our skills. So when we get to a point where we want to interview, and then that whole onboarding process that we'll have to go through, what would that look like now in light of COVID-19? And I know, the first thing I think of is get your technology right. But I want to kind of, have you speak on, what that interviewing and that onboarding process looks like, even now when they may not want to meet face to face, they may have some other methods and onboarding and interviewing.
Well, a lot of companies are now doing virtual interviews, of course, where they're using Zoom, whatever, video meeting technology they have in their, accessibility. There's a ton of them out there. So they can just conduct video interviews. Now, when it comes to onboarding, it's a little different. If you are being hired for a position that's a customer-facing, client-facing position, then that company obviously is probably taking the right protocols within their organization to keep you safe and to keep their clients safe, right? So whether it's mask or mask and gloves, taking your temperature, or having you take the coronavirus test to see if you're testing positive for it, or having you take the antibody test to see if you had it, but if you still, if you're still showing, if you have antibiotics in your system. So now that's really what they're doing. And so what's going to end up happening probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks is that as people assess opening back up their cities, companies opening back up their doors to not only their employees, but to their clients or customers, they still have to look at having some sort of protocol in place to transition. So people will still need to wear gloves. They will still need to wear masks. But it will be a choice. But the masks are not really to protect you. The masks are to protect others.
Right.
And then breathing out. We all know about all that. But it really is more to protect for them. So you do have new hires who are interviewing and asking, well, how am I going to be protected when I start this new job if I accept this offer? So, you have recruiters and hiring managers who do have to explain what their process or steps will be at that time to make them feel safe, coming into their new environment. So there will be some companies that will do virtual orientations. Yeah. Then you'll have some that they will need to do an in-person orientation specifically because of the type of job they are being hired to do. Especially if it's health related, where they have to go in, they have to go in and work.
That's true. And I kind of want to add a point to that because I'm kind of the techie of the group. Maybe in this down season, maybe you start to learn how to use Zoom. Maybe you go to udemy.com and figure out how to use some of this technology, because now, even if you a traditional job that you have to go to the office, they may say, okay, well, we're going to work virtually, and you need to understand what that means,
looks like, yeah.
what that looks like.
There are going to be some companies that are going to consider which positions in our company can we afford to have those people work from home. And one, it's going to save them some money. It will save them some money. If they're able to take a whole team who's working in a specific office where they can close that office and everyone can work virtual, that's saving them thousands of dollars a year, right? But again, it depends on the position. Talent acquisition, hiring, HR, they typically can work virtually, right? So those can be the first teams you can consider to work from home without it really having to be a huge impact on the business because of the level of work they do. But it also depends on the process. If you have a talent acquisition team or recruiting team who does a lot of in-person interviews, and you change and you switch that to virtual, how is it going to impact how many people you're able to get hired per month? How is it going to impact your engagement? All of those things. So I think that I don't think a lot of companies are going to completely do an overhaul of how they do business, but they may consider how they will look at a pandemic like this and how they can prepare for it a lot better. So they may not necessarily change how they do the work, but they may have people learn, like you said, Christina, learn how to use technology a little better. So if they ever have to go back into this position, they're prepared a lot better for it.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think it's interesting because I think, was it 10 or 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, Skype was so special. You know, everyone was like, I got a Skype interview. If you had a Skype interview, you were doing something big, because that meant usually that your employer was out of state, was big time, and then Skype fell off. And now
they just actually discontinued. Microsoft just discontinued Skype and changed it to Microsoft Teams, which Teams is a lot better, I will tell you.
But I think it's interesting though, because like you said, you know, now employers have to mitigate, and they really have to think about, what if we have another pandemic? Are we going to be prepared, and how do we prepare ourselves now for if that ever happens again? And prayerfully it won't.
I think that's what the companies are doing now, is preparing for the what if, right? I mean, we haven't had a pandemic since was it Spanish flu or whatever, in like 1908. Over 100 years since we've had that, and that was just just as devastating as coronavirus. So you know, this too shall pass for us, but unfortunately, it's you know, we've come a long way since 1908 in terms of technology, and unfortunately, you think we'd be a lot better off. We would be in a much better place when it came to some of the things that have happened with the coronavirus. But in instance of that, though, career coaches have always, you're going to always have access to them regardless, because whether it's a pandemic or just a normal day, you know, the shift of what the work that we do, the shift that how we support people doesn't change, because you know, people get laid off every day, or somebody's getting fired, or you know what I mean? And they need support, or someone's struggling with their job and need to learn how to level up, right? And develop themselves, or desiring to go into leadership, and they need to understand what that means. I think we don't focus as Black women. I think sometimes some of us get it right, and some of us don't, when it comes to really looking at it, and we'll go back again to that professional identity, knowing who we are, what we stand for in the workplace, and being clear on that. So if I asked you, Katrina, or asked you, Christina, who you are as a person, you probably could tell me like in 5 different things who you are. But if I say, who are you as a professional, could you give me 5 things and describe that?
Powerhouse, honey, analytic.
Christina's like,
come back to me.
Powerhouse analytic right there.
Right? I mean, and it is true, because that the people who do not recognize, women do not recognize, that is something that drives every decision you make in your career. The values that you have in the workplace, what you stand for, right? How you feel about yourself. You know, speaking up for yourself, being able to recognize things and not being afraid of that. There's just so many elements to that, and understanding, having a mindset of power, communicating with power, knowing all of those things are hugely important when it comes to having identity in the workplace that we don't understand. So you hear people talk so much about branding, branding, having a brand, which is great. But then there's other internal things that can impact the trajectory of your career. Wow. That can be a roadblock that you subconsciously don't even know that's there. Subconsciously, you do not know it's there. And that's the things that I like to work with, is being able to tap into the power of who you are professionally and what that truly means to you. And when you recognize that, you pick up on so much more BS in the workplace.
Okay, all right. Okay.
It is, okay?
Sheree, this is me. This is what I personally believe, because my identity in the workplace is a result of like the promises that I receive as a Christian in my faith, and understanding who, what my identity is in Christ. And so I'm always listening for the download at work. So before I speak, I'm just like, okay, Lord, give me the words. Let me see what's going on. Let me discern real quick. And if I need a second, I politely say, I need a second. I'll check back in with you. But I'm telling you, having that approach has saved me from a lot of drama. It took years to get there, to understand the interplay between the Holy Spirit and the workplace. But I'm telling you, had it not been for getting to that point and having, like you said, understanding it's an internal process that's going on that affects you externally. Go ahead. It affects you externally. If you're not aware of that, then you could definitely cause a lot of damage and harm to your professional brand, your reputation, your income, your salary.
You're doing it right. There's a book by T.D. Jakes called The 10 Commandments of Working in a Hostile Environment. I love that book, right? One of the things in that book, he talks about validation. Right. A lot of us go into the workplace wanting to be validated. Am I doing a good job? Am I doing enough good job to get this $10,000 raise or what have you? And I read this when I first bought the book, and I read this, it blew me away, because I was like, and I've never been one to seek validation from people, like even from my parents. I didn't need their opinion. I'm gonna do what I want to. I don't need your approval. I don't need you to sign off on what I'm trying to do. I don't need your pat on the back, because I know I'm great. That is how I've always. Again, I've never been one who needed the validation of others, but everyone is that way, right? So there is a section in his book, and he says specifically, you do not need validation from people in your workplace, from your boss, leadership, your coworkers, peers, none of that. He said, you got all the validation that you needed when they chose you for that job.
Hello.
Okay. Which means you were blessed to say, hey, you were the divine person picked to do this job. You were the divine person put into this position to be able to exercise your gifts and talents. Because I do believe that the gifts and talents that we've been given specifically for us to be able to make a living and take care of ourselves. Because we all are obligated to ourselves to support ourselves with food, clothing, and shelter.
Okay, let's talk about that.
and our talent.
That's real, though, because there's a scripture that says if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. So God is not unfair, and he's a God of justice. So there's no way he's going to tell you got to work and then don't equip you with the tools to go out and work. You know what I'm saying?
I believe that in my soul, that we are all given gifts and talents, and those talents and gifts are supposed to be used to make a living and take care of ourselves. Now, you can have, Christine, you can have 5 talents. Christina, you may have 1, but doesn't mean that her 5 are better than your 1, because your 1 could elevate you to heights, and she's still trying to figure out what to do with her 5. Right?
I got these 5 right here. Somebody, please.
And your talents can sometimes be used for a specific gift, for a season, and maybe it no longer be able that you may need to use it for a lifetime. But you still have to go on the journey to discover what those are. Now, I'm a big component of that. And sometimes that can take a lifetime for some people. And then some people they are tuned in enough to themselves to discover that earlier on. That's why when you hear young people say, I know what I want to do early on, that's because they're in tune innately with themselves earlier on than some other people. And a lot of times it has something to do with your environment, whether you're in a dysfunctional environment or whether you're in a healthy environment. It has to do with you, the you and your what you're in tune to yourself and the spiritual, the gift that you have with God. Are you listening to what your inside is saying? What are you drawn to? So those are the things for me that are hugely important when I work with you and discover, your professional identity. Let's look deeper into the gifts you really have. And why are you afraid to use them? Because you have people who are like that. They're afraid to really use their gifts.
And it's needed. That's why they've been given to you, because you need to go out and use them. it makes the world go around. We are not, we're in the world. We're not of it, but we work our 9 to 5s typically in the world. And so there's an understanding that you're supposed to take that professional identity, which should also be cloaked in the Christian identity, that Christ-like identity that you have, to go out and be that light, that salt, and that example in the workplace. That's why you have to know that you know who you are when you enter the room. And when you have that little bit of that doubt, you gotta go through the internal process. Like I think you said, you have to choose to go on the journey. You might have to choose to go on a journey every day until you get to the point where you're fully confident, but you have to choose to go on the journey. It's a mindset shift.
This is how you start. For the people who are listening, right? This is how, because you're probably thinking, well, how can I figure it out? This is where you start. You start by listening. What are you drawn to? What are you naturally drawn to do? What are you naturally interested in learning more about? Right? There's a reason why you're drawn to that. And because the world, everybody's so busy and no one's slowing down, and you have to stop listening to the innately what's in here. When I was doing HR for a long time, and when I moved to Cincinnati, I was working my job for 3 months, and I got into that job, and I sat at my desk on the 3rd month, and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something different. I said, how can I take everything I'm learning in HR and use it in a different way? Right? That's what I didn't know what that looked like. Didn't have a clue to what I was going to do, how I was going to discover that, any of that. But what I wasn't tuned with is who I was in the name of Jesus. That I knew. That I knew who I was as far as being a child of God. So what I did was slow down long enough to listen to what was going on around me. And then divinely, he started positioning people in the places with me that I started having conversations. And as I'm listening, it started going off from here. Here, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. How do I start looking at want to do that? When you start feeling drawn to do something, and when you feel a surge of energy that comes from you, that charges you up, you feel like you can pick up a car, and you feel that energized and that joy, that much joy from something that you're doing. You owe it to yourself to discover and go on that journey, whether you're scared or not to do it. I took a $30,000 pay cut to do career coaching. I felt that strongly about the work. And you have to also remember that BCWN wasn't even in my head, wasn't even a concept yet. That's how much I was drawn to wanting to do something else. I was led to a purpose. And you have to slow down enough to listen to what's in your soul, what's in your heart, and your spirit, and do not be afraid of that.
Wow.
The gifts will make room for you.
That's what it says, girl. You better speak that. You better speak that.
Okay. Woo, we can talk about this all day, but we are over on our time. So, Katrina, if you want to sum everything up.
I was hoping we could still go, but okay, yeah, we had 30 minutes. But Sheree, well, I do have one quick question. Because it's about transferable skills. Because a lot of people they don't understand what transferable skills are and how they could actually create a new persona right now based on transferable skills, or at least go into a new sector. So can you just quickly tell our audience what a transferable skill is and how to use that, please?
First of all, you have to be realistic about what you have. First, be realistic.
I love it.
You do. You have to be realistic, right? So if you're looking to change career, and I'm just going to use myself as an example. Right. Working in HR, and I wanted to become a career coach, I had to look at, okay, what skills do I have in HR, and how could those skills be transferable into career coach? So you got to look at the skills you have now, compare them to the skills that are required for the new position that you're looking to obtain, and then compare. Make a checklist. What do you have that matches? What are you lacking? And then what you're lacking, how are you going to obtain it? Whether it's a class, a course, you need a mentor, maybe it's a skill that you can obtain. Maybe you have 10 out of the 15 skills they need, and maybe one of the 5 they can train you on it if they give you the job. So you got to look at what are the most impactful pieces that you have, and then how are you going to get the other skills? How are you going to market yourself with that? And then I know that I want to leave everyone with this, because this is something that changed the course of my life. It took me a minute to realize it, but once I put it all together, it has been driving where I've been going ever since. And it's this: the life God gave you is larger than the life you've been living.
Hey.
Think about that for just a moment. The life God gave you is larger than the life you've been living. Okay? God gives us all special gifts and talents. Now, to use those gifts and talents to take care of ourselves and use those in our gifts, use our gifts and talents to work in our purpose. So think about that. Whatever you're doing now, he wants you to be able to do that on a bigger scale. We're not talking about showboating. We're talking about maximizing your potential in every aspect and making sure you're not blocking your blessings by the opportunities that are coming your way. Don't let your fear bless.
Awesome. I'm glad you're talking about that, because we are.
That's all I
got. Look, our June series is gonna be hot. Like, May's gonna be hot, June's gonna be hot, because we're doing a series in June, and it's all around purpose and gifts and all that good stuff. So thank you for speaking about it. Everyone's been talking about it. It is indeed an inherent part of the Christian's identity. So I'm grateful for you touching on that and just tying that in with careers. Your professional identity as well. So we're over time, and I don't want Christina to get me.
I mean,
okay? All right.
I think it's important.
Right. Sheree, I just need you to tell the people how to get to you and how to find you real quick.
Yes, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, BCW Network CEO. You can also find our network, Black Career Women's Network, at bcwnetwork.com. If you don't remember how to, just Google Black Career, it'll come up.
Awesome. So, Sheree Sims, the dynamic Sheree Sims, thank you so much for joining us tonight. To all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We will see you this Sunday, May the 3rd, first Sunday in the month. Yeah, awesome. At 3 p.m. Eastern, we will be joined by money mindset guru Takesha Artist. Okay, so she's coming to speak with us about money management and really money and the mindset of money or around money. So until then, remember, you are essential to the kingdom of God. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay on the move. Good night.
Good night.
All right.